To go ahead and get started. I know we have potential for some more to join in, but I know everyone has a busy afternoon, so we'll go ahead and get started. It's 3:01, so thank y'all.
Sorry.
Oh, it's I thank y'all for joining us this afternoon for the Education Committee. So I sent everyone the agenda and our meeting minutes from our previous meeting. So that would have been the February 12th meeting. So I don't know if everybody had a chance to look over the meeting minutes or if anyone had any comments on the minutes from February.
They look good to me.
Yeah, they look good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So for today, I wanted to provide some updates on what we've been doing and things that we have upcoming. It has been quite busy. And so I wanted to just take some time and tell everybody what we've been up to. Even with COVID restrictions and things, education is still working on various projects. So what I'm going to do, and Zach, if you'll allow me to share my screen.
You should have the ability down at the bottom.
Yes, thank you. I'll get my screen up. I really thought that adding some images of all of our programs that we've been doing and things kind of helps with talking about our program. So I've added some nice elements for our meeting this afternoon. So of course, this is our agenda, which is what I sent y'all. So I'm just going to kind of briefly go over everything. If there's any questions or anything, please don't hesitate to jump in. Same thing, Ryan, if there's anything that you want to add, please don't hesitate to jump in. So I like to provide our quarterly numbers. And so this is actually on the second page of the agenda that I sent you. And just really briefly looking at our third quarter numbers, that includes January through March. And so we typically break our numbers down into the three categories: our outreach programs and numbers served. And that would include the Martinsville site as well as our Charlottesville educators in the Eastern Shore. So of course, as you can tell for this quarter, we do not have any outreach numbers. We then break our at the museum programs into the second category. And so those are the things like typically would be anything that would happen at the museum. So visiting school groups, birthday parties, anything happening in the building. So our numbers for January, February, and March, we've had a handful of at the museum programs, and I'll tell you a little bit more about those shortly. Those are our activity tables that we're providing during public hours. And then, of course, our distance learning programs are the third category. And I want to bring this up just so you can see the comparison for the 2020. Obviously, 2020 numbers for the outreach and at the museum were considerably more just because of everything that was going on. I did note on the agenda that I sent with the quarterly numbers that the large numbers for January of 2020, that was actually our Ice Age festival. We were able to have that in the student day. And then mid-March is when everything shut down. So that's when we see the the drop off with the numbers. But of course, you can see from looking at the distance learning, this year, our distance learning has, of course, increased. All of our programs shifted to virtual format. So January and February was kind of a slow start. March, we actually started offering scholarships that I will also tell you more about in a few minutes. So our numbers jump from January to March for our distance learning. So just a little bit about the numbers that I reported on. So at the museum programs, those are our activity tables. And what we have been doing is having our tables mirror what we are sharing on the social media on Facebook with the videos that are called Museum Minutes. And so each Friday, either Terry or myself will have a recorded video, 60 minutes of some aspect of the museum, something on display to highlight something that's on display. So it might be a fossil, it might be an artifact, something that visitors would be able to see when they come visit. So then what we've done is kind of play off of that and have activity tables for the public. So we're actually increasing that now that we're open to the public more, but we are bringing out things like the furs and skulls so that visitors can interact with the things if they want to. And so we'll set up either around the item that we're talking about or in the main area to kind of attract the visitors. So that's been a lot of fun, just interacting with the visitors and kind of talking with them about where they're visiting from, if they're local, if they're out of town, and just the fact that they're excited that the museum's open and being able to take advantage of something educational for their family to do. So that's been really nice to just have that interaction with the guests. Our outreach programs are still very low, and our outreach right now, and this was actually not reflected in our quarterly numbers because this just took place this month, but I wanted to include an image. We did a drive-through festival in Waynesboro at the beginning of the month. And so the curators had various tables set up with information specific to their area. So there were things like antlers and horns. There were, of course, fossil material. Dr. Bassett had some stone tools and early human skulls to interact with the visitors as they came through. And so what we try to do with the drive-through festivals, and we've done this with each one of them that we've offered, is have some kind of children's activities. And so we pre-packaged bags that had masks. And so you can see Terry's standing in front of the bags or standing behind them. But there were 3 different masks to choose from. And in the bag, there was also other things for the children. There was a dinosaur notebook, as well as a pen that had the museum name and logo on there. So kind of a, takeaway, keep the museum in mind, and they have some craft things that they get to work on when they get home. So that was a lot of fun. But like I mentioned, those numbers are not reflected in the quarterly numbers that I mentioned previously. But Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong. We had over 150 guests come through the drive-through. And of course, they stay in their vehicles and drive up to the tables, and we share the information and hand off the craft bags. And We also accepted donations if the visitors would like to do so.
Yeah, it was ended up being 63 cars, and like Christy said, it was about 160, just over 160 people in the cars, and they left about it was $248 in donations, so it was about $4 per car, which is great. And the best thing was everybody was very appreciative, very thankful, really enjoyed it. So, good feedback.
Have you done anything similar to this in Martinsville?
So so we did 2 of them, right, Christy? Is that
Yes.
Yeah. So different themes. We had one that was a dinosaur theme, and then
Reptile.
Yeah. It's been.
Okay, I do remember.
I know it's been.
I remember
That was
name.
like, yeah, that was a year ago. Yes, but and they, like Ryan said, it's the visitors seem very appreciative and just having something to interact with. But yeah, so that was our outreach programs. The numbers, I will include those for our next board meeting though. But since it just happened, it's still fresh with everyone. I wanted to mention that. But of course, the bulk of our programming recently are our virtual programs. And so we're still offering a variety of virtual programs to various audiences. And so we're working with not only the public and private schools, we're working with the homeschools, after school programs. And when we're doing our programs, you can see we have a large rolling monitor that we will connect with the students and have various images that we will share with them on that, but also utilizing webcams. We will highlight exhibit areas. And so our programs, we shifted our typical programs that we would share with visitors, school groups, whether they're on-site or outreach, would be very hands-on and have various fossils, various specimens, furs, skulls. So what we've done was really try to still incorporate things like that. So we're utilizing the exhibits. You can see in the other image, this is a portable watershed model that we used with one of our programs, and we still interact with the students. And so as we're discussing things like, for example, the watershed program, we're talking about point and non-point source pollution. We actually have the students help us with that activity of adding the things and kind of pointing out where we should add these things. So even though they can't get their hands on it, they're still interacting with the material. I mentioned our homeschool families. We actually wrap up our Homeschool Science and Engineering Academy next week. So we will have had 17 sessions that's open to homeschool families. We offer 2 a month. So next week we will wrap up and have an end of the year kind of session in which they are actually doing a virtual STEM fair. And so they are picking a topic of their choosing, something that we have done throughout the school year, the curriculum that we offered throughout the school year, to highlight and share more, a little more in-depth project that they have done. And so our topics have been all over the place, from paleontology to food science, which is actually the images that I have on here right now. So we went into kind of the science behind creating bread. So Terry actually mixed in, had the students measure appropriate measurements of things and create bread. You can see some of the students even had their chef hat and aprons on for the session. So the homeschool programs are normally in person here on site in the classrooms, but this year we shifted everything to virtual. and had a nice group that participated in every single session. Being virtual, we were able to connect with families that would not have been able to travel and participate on site. So we've had from Pennsylvania, Northern Virginia. It's been a lot of fun, and we are working on our curriculum for next school year already. We have a survey that we are going to send out to the parents next week after the last session to just kind of gauge not only information from them, but also just some topics and things as we're planning the next school year. And so we are looking at transitioning back from virtual to in-person, of course, following all of the guidelines that would be in place at that time. But also, one of the reasons we're also sending out the survey is to just gauge the parents' interest in the in-person or remaining virtual. So we're very open to having a hybrid model if necessary, so that some can connect virtually and then have in person as well. A couple of months ago, we collaborated with, actually, it seems like a couple of months ago, it was last month. We collaborated with a community center that's in Albemarle County. It is B.F. Yancey Community Center. And this stemmed from a conversation that one of our committee members, Surrey Russell, had during one of our meetings of working with the Charlottesville area and working with diverse audiences. And so we collaborated on a week of programming. And so we came up with 9 different timeframes that we would offer virtual programming. So 1 week in April, it coincided with Albemarle County and Charlottesville schools spring break. So that way it would hopefully capture the children. So we offered 9 programs, and we had a variety of times: morning, early afternoon, evening sessions. And we offered every age range, pre-K all the way up through adult. We even offered some adult sessions. So that was a very interesting collaboration, just working on logistics with, the community center in Albemarle County of logistically with Zoom, how to offer these sessions and register. We really wanted it to be a pre-registering for each session, even though these were completely free to the public. Yancey paid for part of them, and then we offered a scholarship to cover the other portion of the program fees. So that way we could offer them free to the public. But it was very interesting in just logistics of registration and just sending out the Zoom links to everyone. We had over 100 people pre-register for the sessions, the various sessions, and we ended up with about 70 to 80 people total participate through the week. So it was one of those kind of fun, very busy weeks. And what we're doing now is we're actually looking at future programming, what we could do again, as well as other community partners that we could partner with to offer things like this. Let's see. So we're very fortunate right now to have scholarships that we can offer visiting or virtual program groups. So I'm kind of skipping around on the agenda. So if you're looking at the agenda, this is actually a little ways down. It's under the grant updates. But so we have two right now that we're offering. The Boxley Materials Grant for virtual programming. The total grant is $10,000, and $4,000 of that is going towards the scholarships for teachers. And this will be from March. We started this in March and will actually go through December. So we're wrapping up with the school year currently, but we are going to be able to offer these for the fall of the next school year. As well as we have a Hooker Furnishings. The total grant was $2,500, and $1,500 is going to go towards scholarships. With the Boxley, the other funds for that, only $4,000 is for the scholarships. The other funds are going towards our other virtual programming, such as our social media, virtual content, as well as some marketing expenses and such. And then the Hooker Furnishings, $1,500 will go towards scholarships, but the other amount will go towards our Museums for All initiative. And so that is, it provides free or reduced admission for families that have the EBT, the electronic benefit transfer cards. And so, and Ryan, please correct me if I'm wrong, but previously our program for this, we had a reduced admission rate, but due to the Hooker Furnishings grant, we are going to be able to offer the free admission for the EBT families coming in through April of 2022.
So Christy, can you explain the scholarships? What does that involve, like for
Yes.
teachers? What
Yes.
and how do they know about it? How will they know it?
Yes, great questions, Joan. Thank you. So what we did is I worked with Ryan and Zach and others with Boxley on a press release. So we sent out a press release regarding the Boxley as well as the Hooker Furnishings. But then on my end, I sent emails to principals, school administrators. We have Google contacts of teachers that have participated in past programming. So I did kind of a mass email to various administrators, superintendents, and teachers, and put out the information. The Boxley is kind of geared towards the school districts that are in Boxley service areas, which looking across the state actually covers quite a lot. And then our Hooker Furnishings are going to be geared towards schools that have free and reduced lunch. And so putting that out there, we made sure that we're advertising so that they know if they would fall into that category or not. And so basically, they will contact me. We'll kind of talk about the options and whether or not, that it meets the criteria for the grant. The Boxley, with the amount, we're able to offer about 44 scholarships. And right now we have already conducted, and we have a few more with, school almost ending. We will have had 32 for the March through May, And then we have teachers already requesting some for fall of next year.
So scholarships are I might sound dumb, are for teachers to get programs for
Yes,
classes that
yes.
they would normally pay for?
Yes, and so that would pay for basically our virtual program. It would be the hour connection with the class. And typically a virtual program, 1 hour would be a fee of $90. And we do offer a discounted rate for Martinsville and Henry County. So yes, the scholarship would cover that one program for their class.
Okay.
And the way we've worked it is right now it is so that we're trying to serve as many. I have had some teachers request like a second program, and so they are kind of on a waiting list, so that we can try to make sure that we're serving a broad audience.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, yes. And with the Hooker Furnishings, we will be able to offer about 16 program scholarships.
So that would be first come, first serves. That's how you do
Yes.
it. Whoever.
Yes.
Till the money runs out.
Yes. And the great thing with the virtual programming is, when we're doing our programs, we can connect to the entire grade level at one time. For example, Terry had a program this morning, and so she had 4 classes of, I believe it was fourth graders. She had 4 classes of fourth graders that joined her on that one hour program all at one time. Whereas when we were in person and say we would visit the school, we would go from class to class. And so we would end up, being there basically, depending on the teacher's schedule, all day to conduct the programming per class. So with the virtual, we're able to connect, to all of the students at one time. So it is kind of different and interesting. But we're
So I'm wondering, when everything opens up and schools open in the fall and the museums open in the fall, will you continue the virtual programs?
Yes. Yes. So we're looking at, of course, flexibility. And if we are able to safely offer in-person programming, do so, of course, following all guidelines. And that's really going to depend on the various school districts, whether or not they're allowing visitors into the schools or other places. But
So
so
you
we're
will favor person to person over virtual.
yes, and that's a lot of the teachers that have conducted the virtual programming with us. They're like, oh, this is really great, but we can't wait for y'all to be back in person.
Yeah.
Because like I mentioned, we're trying to we've tried to really make them as interactive and involve the students as much as you can through a computer screen.
True.
But yes, so
can't touch and can't, yeah.
exactly. And so, like I mentioned, we'll just be very flexible with the options in the fall. And if we're able to conduct in-person programming safely, we will, but also still offer the virtual programming as well. Yes. And Boxley will run through December, but the Hooker Furnishings will run through April of 2022. So we'll be able to offer that through the school year. And I will do the same in the fall of sending out kind of that mass email to advertise again the scholarship opportunities. Something that I've talked about in several of our meetings was our teacher videos that we've been working on with the curators. So we now have this on our YouTube page, and it's linked on our webpage. So this was set up, and I think we still have about 3 videos that are to be added on there. But we have the videos set up so that teachers can use them as professional development opportunities for themselves, but also supplemental information to use in their classrooms. We have the standards of learning correlated for the various videos, so that if teachers would like that information, we can definitely share that with them. So this is really nice, added to our website. And we also have the remote learning resources just for the general public as well. So for parents or teachers, one and the same, we have various activities on the website, articles, the videos. So I wanted to kind of provide an update that is now added to our website and on our link to our YouTube page. And of course, during all of our still kind of pandemic times, we have been able to take advantage of professional development opportunities for ourselves. We've participated in some online courses, as well as a conference that was held in February. It's VAM, V-A-M, the Virginia Association of Museums. So Terry and myself and several other staff as well participated in that virtual conference. And was nice to network with other educators and museum officials on kind of what they're doing during this time as well, and kind of their plans, and just kind of being able to brainstorm and just share information. So that's been very nice. And of course, resources, sharing resources, that has been really great. So right now we are gearing up for summer camps. Every year, the education department has offered a variety of summer camps. Last year, of course, we did not, but this year we are scaling it back. We normally offer about 10 or 11 summer camps throughout the summer. This year, we are only going to offer 4. We are going to offer 2 in June and 2 in July. And so we have them broken down into age groups. So we have 2 camps for the 6 to 8-year-old range, and then 2 camps for the 9 to 11-year-old range. And of course, everything following COVID guidelines. We are purposefully picking nature topics, things that we can be outside a lot. So we plan on utilizing the park that's behind the museum. I've already talked with the city about, we have the shelter reserved for these weeks, these 4 weeks, so that we can spend as much time outside as we can. So we'll have our junior naturalist and outdoor adventures in June, and then insect investigations and busy bugs in July. And we kind of picked the bug theme not only so that we could be outside, but the museum is actually planning a bug event. I don't want to call it a festival, but a bug event in July on the 24th. So it'll be a smaller event, not festival size, but a smaller event that will be open to the public, highlighting various insects and critters. Let's see. Oh, just a few details about the summer camps. They are full week camps, and they run from 9 to 4. And we offer before and after care options, just to make it easy for parents and caregivers. The rate is $130 for non-members and then $120 for members. We also are very fortunate to have scholarships that parents can apply for the summer camps. So this is a little bit different than our virtual programming scholarships because our scholarships are on need basis. And so there is a form that they have to complete and meet federal guidelines for the free and reduced lunch rate. And so we've had inquiries about that. We're able to offer quite a few scholarships for our summer camps this summer. I don't think I mentioned, we're limiting our numbers too. Typically we would have anywhere from 15, 20, 25 kids per camp. For this summer, we are limiting it to just 10 children per camp.
What about the groups this year? You're still going to do groups?
So what we're looking at are opening the museum to the public more, and slowly reworking in our in-person groups. So depending on the day, groups can come in and view the museum, view the exhibits. Same thing with our in-person programming. Because we've had some inquiries, and what we're discussing are, of course, following all guidelines. So keeping the numbers in the appropriate range to do the in-person programming, taking into account sanitization and things like that. So getting there, yes. And so starting Memorial Weekend, currently right now we're open Fridays and Saturdays. Memorial Weekend, we will open on Sundays. And then Ryan, when is it that we will be Tuesday through Sunday?
Yeah, so like Christy said, open Sundays, Memorial Weekend, or starting Sunday of Memorial Weekend, and then starting July 1st, we will be Tuesday through Sunday. And then after Labor Day, we normally close on Sundays just because there's less demand. So potentially we'll be Tuesday through Saturday after Labor Day.
Yeah, I know that we generally schedule our kids the last week of our summer camp to go there. And I know that all the restrictions should be, at least distancing and numbers, is over June the 15th. And then they're saying by June the 30th, at the end of the month, they may not even have mask restrictions.
Yeah.
So almost everything should be up by the end of June. So I'm just wondering, like, I know I'd hate to miss out on our group. We bring 35 kids in there, and we get the educators to walk them around. We buy lunches and do everything from there. So, I mean, I would think that come June the 15th, once all these restrictions are open, we might have more groups that would come in to do that, because in North Carolina, everything's still closed.
Yes.
The Greensboro Children's Museum doesn't open back up to the 29th, and then they're only going to be open on Saturdays and Sundays. The Greensboro Science Center, they're doing a special thing. They're still going to keep mask distancing, reservations and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's kind of hard going on all these trips, whereas in Virginia, I don't want to say relaxed, but a lot of the stuff is going away mid-June. So we're still trying to make our trips too. So
yes. And Cord, we can definitely talk about that. And, because like I said, what we've talked about on our end is just, making sure that the restrictions are followed.
Right.
And so even with groups, we can definitely do that. So I can definitely talk with you more about your summer camp group coming to visit.
Right, and I know that we just got a notice here a week ago. They've been talking about it, but it finally came through. All of the Virginia Department of Social Service groups and stuff, if you're a licensed program, all of that has been moved now to the Department of Education. So for, it looks like as far as licensing rules, nothing's going to change, but it looks like there's going to be a lot more funding that's going to come through to be able to do educational stuff. So that might be something that we could look at for us going through some of these daycares and stuff, because now that they'll be under the Department of Education, there'll be more money available.
Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. So yes, summer camps, summer is going to be an interesting time. And speaking of visitors and exhibit areas, our Education and Public Programs Committee has a subcommittee in it with our exhibits. So I like to try to give everybody an update of exhibit components and what's been going on. They've been very busy working on additions in the exhibit areas. And so I wanted to highlight just a couple of things that Jessica and her crew have been working on. And so one is this augmented reality topography interactive table. And inside of the table, there's actually crushed rubber. So it's almost like crushed pencil erasers that a projection screen from above will project the topography down onto that material. And then visitors can actually manipulate that material with their hands to create the topography. So they can actually create like a mountain area. They can make a large depression, which then becomes like a water area. So there's all sorts of topography aspects that they can create with this interactive table. So that's really neat. And then I think I shared with everyone the video during our last committee meeting of the interactive floor. And this is not here at this museum, but this was the video that was provided as the example. So as you walk across it, the water kind of ripples and there's information panels that will come up about the various creatures. So our floor has just been, oh, stop. Our floor has just been installed. And so I don't have a video for you, I'm sorry, but I have the still image of our floor. So this is now in our Wild Watersheds exhibit area, which is a hallway. And so we have a simulated riverbed that is supposed to be similar to the Smith River. And there's trout species that will swim through. And as either as your feet move towards it or just over a given amount of time, these text panels will pop up to give you more information about the various trout species that are on display. So this just was installed this past week. So just a few exhibit additions. They're still working hard on a lot of other components that will be added. Right now, a lot of our hands-on interactives are still not on display. And so in time, those will slowly come back out for visitors to, to be able to interact with. So that was just kind of some updates of what we've been working on the past few months. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
I will commend you on your virtual programs. They're pretty extensive. I also like the Facebook 60-second videos. I think those are just, y'all do a really good job with
Oh,
those.
thank you.
Uh, I've heard several people say they enjoyed those. I think that's a
Thank you.
good way to get information out.
It's just a quick 60-second to hopefully entice people to come to the museum to see whatever we're talking about on display and learn more.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you.
Good.
Before we wrap up, are there certain key things for Saturday's board meeting that we would like Cord to share with the full board?
I would certainly talk about your virtual programs and
Okay.
how those have increased. And
Yeah, the notes that I took from today that I thought was kind of cool was the Waynesboro drive-through.
Mhm.
Just, the 63 cars, 160 people served out. That was really big. The homeschool 17 sessions during a pandemic. That to me, that's amazing. I mean, to be able to keep doing that kind of stuff.
I
And
agree.
I think the scholarship grants.
I do too. Yeah, the scholarships.
Okay.
How $6,000 goes to virtual programming, but of the 10,000, 6,000 goes to other virtual programming, Facebook, social media, but that $4,000 is going straight to scholarship for people. I thought stuff like that, those to me was the four big topics I thought were huge. I mean, that's just great work right there.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been interesting times, but it's also been a lot of fun being able to alter how we're doing our programming. It's definitely been a learning experience of switching to all virtual and making it as interactive and engaging as you can, and covering those standards of learning so that our teachers can justify doing a virtual program with us.
I really like the fact that you said like a whole group. So for lack of a better word, I mean, they could go in the gym and put the big screen up and everybody can see it in one fell swoop.
Yes.
And doing their
Yes.
stuff. And that's really neat. I mean, that's, popcorns and bugs.
Yes. Just with the programs that we have offered so far, and like I mentioned, our scholarships have been in place March until now, and we still have a handful of programs, through the end of the school year, but we've served somewhere around 1,200 students already.
That's amazing.
1,200 students.
Yes.
And that's through just the virtual.
That's
learning,
just
right?
the scholarships. That's not our homeschool sessions and things like that.
I'm going to have to scoot. So thank you all for allowing me to be part.
So,
All right. Thank you, Joan. Thank
bye,
you.
Joan. So
Well, that sounds great, Cord. If you need any information to provide the report to the full board, just let me know.
Okay, I've wrote a lot of stuff down here. That 1,200 is a big number too. If the governor does release most of the guidelines and stuff, are you looking at maybe opening up, not making more camps because those are set, but allowing a few more to come? Or are you
As far as like visiting summer camp groups.
Right, like right
yes.
now you've got 4 camps, 2 in June, 2 in July, and you're only allowing 10. But say the governor comes up and says, you know what, we're taking out the numbers and stuff. Is there a chance that you might go to 20 or more, or are you going to try to stick to that 10 right now?
For those 4 summer camps, for right now, we're going to stick with 10. But of course, looking at various groups, like with your YMCA groups or Boys and Girls Clubs, the various other groups that have summer camps, because we have had inquiries about visitation for those type of groups. So we'll definitely work with them. And like I mentioned, as far as, just making sure guidelines are followed and we're following protocol and things. But in encouraging our visitation again.
Well, I think I've got a lot of notes for Saturday, so we should be good there.
Great.
I think that I'm glad hopefully all this will be behind us in another few months and things can get back to normal.
Yep. Well, great. Well, thank you so much
All
for
right.
joining us this afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. We'll see all of y'all, or at least talk to all of y'all on Saturday.
Yes, that
Sounds good.
sounds good.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
See you
Bye.
then.
Bye, Ryan.
Bye.
Zach.
All right. Bye. All right. Thank y'all.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. See y'all later.
See you later.